Mhm.
Judge, can you hear me?
Zero two two seven four eight.
Mr. Ashworth?
Yes, Your Honor. Morning.
All right, I'm going to need you to get a jacket and a tie on for me since we're appearing in court. And then I'm going to ask you about your client, Thomas Ashworth.
My client is Carlton Mitchell, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Carlton, that's what I meant. Carlton Mitchell, you're Mr. Ashworth. I'm going to ask you about Carlton Mitchell. He's not present in the courtroom.
Correct. He is in jail in Smith County, but let me go put on a jacket and tie,
Thank you.
and I'll be right back.
Thanks, sir. All right, counsel, do we have anyone that's present in the courtroom that's ready? No takers, all right. Mr. St. Julian? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think we both hit the button at the same time.
Okay, technology, Judge.
The technology. Okay, I've got you now. Let me flip back here to, you filed a motion to substitute counsel. Is that correct?
That is correct, Judge, on Mr. East.
Yes, and let me see if Mr. East, I have someone in my online waiting room that's identified by cell phone. Let me see if this is,
I did send him a text. My office confirmed we gave him the link. He is a resident of Louisiana and he should be on, he says he is logged in.
I believe he's logging in right now. Mr. East? I'm gonna have you unmute your device. There you go. All right, Mr. East, can you see and hear me okay? This is Judge Chris Martin.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and can you see your attorney, Mr. St. Julian?
No, sir.
You may have to swipe left or right if you want to see him. He's present in the courtroom.
Okay.
All right, is
Oh.
Mr.
All right, Mr. Yes, sir.
All right, just one moment, Mr. East. Is Mr. Schmidt available? Is he back there? Let me get Mr. Schmidt in here. He's the court-appointed counsel. And I understand that you filed a motion to substitute, so I'm going to get him in here so we can make sure we're on the same page.
Yes, sir.
No, because he. Okay, thank you. Tell him why we didn't. Mr. Schmidt, if you'll stand here in front of the camera. So I've got Mr. St. Julian here. He's filed a motion to substitute on behalf of Mr. Adrian East. I have Mr. East here. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. You received notice of the motion to substitute counsel?
Yeah, I received that yesterday. From Mr. St. Julian.
Okay. So Mr. East, you're asking the court to allow Mr. St. Julian to substitute as your attorney in this case?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that any indigent legal fees that Mr. Schmidt is incurring or that the county is going to incur on your behalf as your court-appointed counsel, you understand that you're still going to be financially responsible to pay those, even though Mr. Julian would be your new attorney? You understand that?
Yes, sir.
And you've been paying your pretrial release attorney fees, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And so, Mr. Schmidt, you're asking to be released from the case?
So I got no objection to that.
All right. The court's going to grant the motion to substitute counsel, and the court hereby discharges the Honorable Richard Schmidt as counsel and and substitutes in and orders Mr. St. Julian as counsel for Mr. East. And I show that we are set for a docket call today. I'm assuming, Mr. St. Julian, that you do not have the state's discovery in this case?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so let me look at the case here to see how many times we've been to court, to see how long I'm going to allow you to get the discovery and get caught up. Mr. Schmidt, you don't know off the top of your head, do you? How many times we've been here?
We've been here several times via Zoom. I don't think interest in the program. At least
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Appreciate you. Give me just one moment here. All right, Mr. St. Julian, are you available on Tuesday, May 25th?
Is that virtual or in person, Judge?
That's going to need to be in person. Both you and Mr. East would need to be in person. That's going to be a docket call. That would be the time that I would be looking for the announcement of whether or not there's going to be a plea agreement or a request for a trial. Because I think they made it past pre-trial in this case.
May 25th, would that be in the morning, Judge?
Yes, sir. How we do it here is I take all of my bail defendants in the morning and I take my jail defendants in the afternoon. So yes, sir, it could be 9, 10, or 11. We could adjust it, but it would be an AM setting.
Yes, that works for my schedule, Judge. May 25th works, Tuesday, May 25th.
Okay. And do you want earlier in the morning or
Let's put it at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock? Okay. All right. Then what I'm going to do, Mr. East, is I'm going to order you to appear in person with Mr. St. Julian on Tuesday, May 25th for docket call at 10 a.m. So this will be the only notice that you get from the court, and you understand that your failure to appear on that day could result in the court revoking your bail in this case. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll see you on May 25th at 10 a.m. here in the courtroom.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Y'all have a good day.
All
You
right,
too.
we excuse, Judge?
Yes, and Mr. St. Julian, I would just ask that you get with the state so you can get the discovery, so there's no longer delay in this case.
Understand we've been put on a portal, Judge, so we should be able to get it, and I'll get Mr. East into the office in the next week or so we can get this thing moving.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. You too. Mr. Manning, are you ready? All right, court call CR 2311, State versus Tiffany Lee Stevenson.
Yes, sir, we have a pretty good worked out where the only hitch is getting the restitution up front. My client has a significant progress towards that. We requested for they said stated to be.
All right, how long do you think it's going to take?
We can get just a regular 1 month. We said that should be fine.
All right, court's going to set this for plea on May 25th at 9 a.m. Once you sign the notice of setting and get the yellow copy, you're free to go. All right, Mr. Ashworth.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, court call CR 2349, State versus Carlton Wendell Mitchell Jr. You said that your client is in the Smith County Jail.
He is, Your Honor.
Okay, when did he go into custody there?
I'm not 100% sure. I'll ballpark it at about 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Okay. Do you know if he's going to be there a while or is it
I
just?
believe he is. He's got unindicted charges there. And unless there's some reason that Van Zant County is going to bring him from Smith County, I think he'll just stay there until the Smith County charges, which are currently unindicted, are disposed of in some way.
Is it, I see what they have him, what Van Zant County has him indicted on is a first degree manufactured delivery 4 to 2. Do you know if his charges there are higher than a first degree?
They're not higher. They may be, I believe his one charge is a first degree, and I believe he's got one lower charge as well.
Okay. All right. Well, the court will have that confirmed, and let's go ahead and reset him for a status on his custody. Are you available on May 25th?
1 second, please.
Yes, sir. That way he doesn't fall through the cracks on our caseload.
Understood. Yes.
All
I
right,
can
we're
put it
gonna-
May 25th.
Okay, then we'll set it for custody status on that date at 9 a.m. If he is in custody and there's not going to be any type of resolution on our case or a bench warrant over, then if you just want to appear via Zoom again and give me an update on that, just let my court coordinator know, Mr. Ashworth.
Great, Judge.
All right, thank you. You're free to go. Mr. Harper, are you ready?
Yes, Judge.
All right, CR 2291, Kyle Holland. Mr. Holland, if you'll make your way to the center podium. All right, this is docket call for Mr. Holland. Have we finalized our negotiations in this case?
Yes, sir.
And what's going to be our announcement today?
We would like to have a plea setting, Judge, and if the May 25th date is acceptable to you, if we could use the 11 a.m. slot, that would be great.
Any objections from the state? Okay, all right, then we'll set Mr. Holland then for plea on May 25th at 11 a.m. Mr. Harper, I am going to order your client to sign his conditions of pretrial release today, since that is still over a month away. So I'm gonna have him meet with my pretrial release department today. That's gonna be conditions on his bail in this case, to report, to drug test, to do those things, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, so let's see here. You can hand me one of those, Joe. I don't have. All right, Mr. Holland, I'm going to fill out a notice of appearance for you. It's going to give you your date and time to be back. After we give this to you, you're going to sign it. We'll give you the yellow copy, and then I want you to report back here to the pretrial release department, okay? All right, Mr. Harper, I'm going to have him sign, and I'm going to release him to the pretrial release. So he'll be done.
Am I free to go?
Yes, sir, free to go.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Mr. Murray Leader, are you ready on any of your clients today? Okay. Yes, as soon as Mr. Holland's done. Tasha Moore. All right, this is cause number CR 2220, State versus Tasha Jean Morris. I believe we were set for a status on the court's ruling on the defendant's motion to suppress, and I believe for docket call today. The court, having reviewed the evidence, argument of counsel, it has denied the defendant's motion to suppress in this case. Do you need additional time to speak with your client regarding whether or not there's going to be a plea agreement, or does she request to be placed on the court's jury selection docket? And you've advised your client that being placed on the jury selection docket may mean that the court will not entertain future plea bargains? Okay. All right. The court then sets Ms. Morris for jury selection.
200 days and no fine.
Beginning May 3rd. So Ms. Morris, on May 3rd, you're going to report to the basement of the courthouse. You will not report to the courtroom. A member of my staff will be down there, and your case will not be reached for trial then, but you'll be given the next date that you're to appear, and you'll continue to do that until your case is reached for trial. Mr. Murleader is not going to be required to be down there at the same time, because it's just a resetting to make sure that your case stays calendared. So if you don't appear, then the court's going to find your bail to be insufficient or revoke your bail. You understand? So on May 3rd, and you should do that around 8:30. Okay. So before you leave today, I need you to report to the pretrial release department to sign conditions of pretrial release. I show you haven't done that yet. And Mr. Murray Leader, I show that she's $160 delinquent on that. Maybe that she was not aware. She may have been released without being aware of those. So at this time, I'm going to ask you to report to the pretrial release department. After you speak with them, then you'll be free to go. Okay? Ms. Delaney, I'm going to ask you to unmute your device.
Okay,
If that's your phone, you might want to mute that. Or
I do.
okay. All right. This is cause number CR 2399 State versus Lindy Sharit Delaney. And it's my understanding, Ms. Delaney, that you're needing to appear via Zoom today due to a COVID diagnosis.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now show that we're set for a docket call today, Mr. Merleader.
Judge, since the last hearing, I haven't been able to meet with Ms. Delaney. We required her to have a negative test before coming to our office. And we just simply are not able to meet with us. I asked for one final reset, Your Honor, for further docket call before I make my.
Any objection from state? Okay. All right. So Ms. Delaney, the court's going to set you for an additional docket call on May 25th at 9 a.m. You will be ordered to appear in court on that day. And this will be the only notice that you get. Whenever your quarantine period is over, do you know
Yes,
when
sir.
do you know when that's going to be?
They said 14 days from yesterday.
14 days from today.
Yes,
So
sir.
it'll be the 26th, April 26th. So I'm going to order you to report to the pretrial release department, probation department after the 26th. So you're going to need to report between the 27th, 28th, or 29th. One of those days
Okay.
before noon. All right. So
Okay.
I'm going to have you on conditions of pretrial release where you're going to need to report, you're going to need to be drug tested, and you're going to need to
Yes,
be
sir.
paying for your court-appointed attorney. And Mr. Merleader, I show that right now the delinquency is about $600.
It's about,
Okay? It's about $600. You have to pay a supervision fee, and you have to pay towards Mr. Merleader's services that the
right.
tax.
I made a payment yesterday on it too.
Okay.
It said it takes 24 hours to post.
Okay. How much did you pay?
200.
200. Good. All right. Well, just report to them again and stay on top of that, and there won't be an issue. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So May 25th at 9 a.m. you'll report back in court, and then you're ordered to report to pretrial release, your pretrial release officer after the 26th, after the 26th and before the 29th, before noon.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Is Mr. Schroeder here yet, Mr. Merleader? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, that's what that's all. John Rigney. You've already got him. CR 2307. All right, Mr. Rigney set for docket call today as well.
That's true, Judge. Previously, we were in the last, we were set on a pretrial, and I announced for we had a second pretrial. In the event we try to get some visible evidence from the telephone. We've got a document for the state, I'm gonna take the girl today to allow them to get the information. Telephone, basically. And me and the size of the person to go through what's all that. I think it's going to be relevant to the case. So we're asking for another document. I am going to ask the court for 60 days. I know it's court policy, like it's at 30, but in this particular case, it's going to take that time. Get it, let us meet what's on the actual device.
Any objection from the state?
No, Your Honor.
June 15th.
Judge, may have conflict with June 15th. Unfortunately, that conflict is in the head of my wife on a vacation, so I need to set it there. If we can set it for that day, it's fine. And, perhaps,
Well, what if you did? What about June 1st? I know it's a little better. All right. It's a little less than 60, but not much. All right, Mr. Rigney, the court's going to set you for an additional docket call on June 1st. Hang on, Mr. Schmidt. Mr. Schmidt, hang on just a second. No, that day's not good. It looks like grand jury is being picked that day in the morning. June 3rd? Let's do June 3rd. So June 3rd at 9 a.m. Yes, sir, free to go. All right, let's call Wendy Paul. Center podium. This cause number is CR 2352 and FC 2012. Mr. Justin Weiner has filed a motion to substitute counsel, a motion for continuance. Court had assumed that you were aware of that, Mr. Schmidt, but you're not.
I wasn't right now.
So your client didn't tell you and Mr. Weiner didn't tell you?
No, sir.
All right, so Ms. Paul, you're asking the court to allow Mr. Weiner to become your counsel. All right, I think the court has already granted the motion to substitute and the court has granted the motion for continuance. You understand that you're still going to be financially responsible for the fees that Mr. Schmidt is going to be paid by the county? You understand that's going to be a condition of your bond, that if you do not pay those, the court's most likely going to revoke your bond? You understand that? Okay. And the court has ordered you onto conditions of pretrial release, and you've met with the pretrial release officer and you've signed those, correct? So you understand what you're responsible for?
Yes.
All right, court has already reset your case to May 25th at 9 a.m. Court's going to discharge the Honorable Richard Schmidt as court-appointed counsel in this case. Mr. Schmidt, I would ask that you submit your billing so that Ms. Paul can get that satisfied immediately.
Yes, sir.
Caleb, if you can assist me, if you'll take this to Miss Paul and have her sign right there, and give her that yellow copy. Is Amber Jo Smith here? Okay, she's still. Okay. I can't hear you. Okay. Okay, so it'll be a plea for yours. Thank you, ma'am. Skylar Tanner, CR 20312. Mr. Tanner set for docket call today. All right, court sets Mr. Tanner then for plea on May 25th at 9 a.m. And what's the plea going to be for, Mr. Schmidt? Mr. Tanner, you understand 9 a.m. means 9 a.m.? You understand that if you want me to put you on probation, probation is going to have rules. All right? And 9 a.m. means 9 a.m. You can either come here in an orange jumpsuit or you can come in your own clothes. Which do you prefer? Your own clothes. All right? 9 a.m. means 9 a.m. Be here at 9 a.m. next time. You're free to go. Mr. White, are you ready? Are you? Okay, well, I'll take up another couple and that way you can knock both yours out at the same time. Mr. Steele or Mr. Ashmore, either one of y'all ready?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm ready.
And Judge, I'm ready too.
Okay. Mr. Ashmore, when I called your client, she was not here. Let me try again. Rachel Powell? Is Rachel Powell here? She's the only one you have today, correct, Mr. Ashmore?
Yes, Judge, and I appreciate you letting me Zoom this morning. Ms. Powell's just set for a pretrial. We have no contested pretrial motions. We have conveyed her plea offer, which I'm going to ask the court's permission to read into the record.
Well, she's not here today. So you're welcome to read it, but it's not going to be to her benefit. It'll be to my benefit. Go ahead.
Yeah, oh, just so the court knows, 2 years TDC institutional division or 10 years probated for 4 with a $4,000 fine. This is a burglary of a building during a pandemic. And we have called multiple numbers of Miss Powell. She's reached out to us on our Facebook page and communicated. And we have emailed her with a good email number or email address regarding all this and the evidence against her. And I'm not sure why she's not there. I'm going to ask the court's permission to try all 4 of those vehicles to communicate before she gets a warrant on her today, if the court will give me a few minutes to do that. But our announcement is we just need to reset this for a docket call so she can consider this offer.
So you're asking to have the court recall the case here just a few moments after you attempt to reestablish contact?
Yes, Your Honor, if I may do that.
Because you may do that, but the court's not going to reset anything if she's not here. The court will just forfeit her bond and put a warrant out for arrest. But go ahead and see if you can make contact with her.
Thank you very much, Judge. Just a
You're
minute.
Cleela Roden. This is cause number CR 20357, set for pretrial today, Mr. Steele.
Yes, Judge. We don't have any trial motions at this time. And I actually, if the state could tell me what the offer is at this point, I would appreciate it. I don't have anything written down, but that doesn't mean that they haven't sent me one.
They're looking now.
Is this, whose case does this belong to? I'm sorry, Judge.
It's Ms. Heisel's.
I don't think your microphone's on, Mr. Woodwhite. Mr. Woodwhite said he believes it's Ms. Heisel's case.
It's Ms. Heisel's case. Current offer is 5 years deferred.
Did you hear that, Mr. Steele?
I did not, Judge. I'm sorry.
5 years deferred and a $3,500 fine.
I will get with Ms. Heisel and we will give you an answer on final pretrial date.
All right, there being no contested pretrial motions, the court sets Ms. Roden then for docket call on May 25th. Do you have any scheduling issues that day?
Will I be, is that going to be in person? Judge, is that going to be in person?
It'll be in person for Ms. Roden for sure.
Yeah, I actually just got set for a pretrial the same day. Could I do?
You can appear via Zoom that day.
Is that?
You can appear via Zoom that day.
Okay, then that's fine.
Okay. All right, then we'll set it for docket call on May 25th, and that'll be the date, as you're aware, Mr. Steele, to inform your client that the court will need to know whether or not there's going to be a resolution in the case or it's going to be set for jury selection.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, let me get your,
Judge, I think that's it. May I be excused?
yes, you may. All right, Ms. Roden, you're free to go. Megan Bueno. This is cause number CR 2203, set for arraignment today. Ms. Bueno has requested court-appointed counsel. Court has reviewed her application, finds her to be indigent at this time, has appointed the Honorable Jonathan Manning to represent her. Mr. Manning, have you had an opportunity to review and present the indictment to your client?
Yes, Judge, we have, it's called direct rejection, charges against her, and this time we complete on.
Right, the court will enter the defendant's plea of not guilty into the record. We will set this for a pretrial hearing. Mr. Manning, are you available on May 25th?
Judge, I was just see if we can have a little bit longer pre-trial, so this is like to be a case of discovery and have significant discovery this week. And we got it. We got it.
Are you available on June 15th?
Yes, Judge.
All right, court sets Ms. Bueno then for pretrial on June 15th at 9 a.m.
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Has Ms. Bueno signed her conditions of pretrial release?
I'm not sure.
You have them? All right, so Ms. Bueno, once you get that yellow copy, meet with the pretrial release officer, and then you'll be free to go. They'll give you additional information. You're welcome. Mr. Watson, have you spoken with Mr. Platten? You want to step out in the hallway and try to call him and see? Okay, please do. Bless you. Ms. Melancher, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Kenneth Ray Stanley. All right, Mr. Stanley, if you'll raise your right hand and place you under oath. Sir, do you swear that the testimony you give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can put your hand down. All right, are you Kenneth Ray Stanley? And Mr. Stanley, are you a United States citizen? Do you read, write, and speak English? Have you ever been diagnosed with any type of mental condition? In this case, you're represented by your attorney, Ms. Beverly Millentree. Are you pleased with her representation of you? Do you feel like you've had enough time to discuss your case with her and have all of your legal questions answered? Is there anything about this paperwork that you've reviewed and signed that you do not understand? Ms. Millentree, do you believe Mr. Stanley to be competent today?
I do, Your Honor.
You've explained to him his legal and constitutional rights.
Yes, Your Honor.
It appears that the plea agreement between the defendant and the state is that Mr. Stanley, having been charged with the state jail felony offense of possession of a controlled substance by indictment, would be pleading under 1244A to 97 days confinement in the county jail with credit for time served, a $1,000 fine, with restitution, court cost, reimbursement fees, with the state considering several unfiled cases, including manufacture, delivery of controlled substance, delivery of marijuana, and evading arrest or detention. Is that your understanding of the plea agreement, Ms. Millentree?
It is, Your Honor.
Yours as well, Mr. Stanley? And is Mr. Stanley going to be able to discharge the monies that he owes today? I can't hear you.
2,450, is that the amount the court is talking about that I received this bill of cost?
I don't know if that's the total or not. It says $1,000 fine, 980 reimbursement fees, 290 court cost, 180 restitution. I haven't added all that up, but yes, whatever's on the bill it cost.
He has 77 payment plan, and it won't take him that long to just pay it off.
How much could he pay today?
$1,225 today.
Okay, then I'll order him to make that payment today to the clerk across the hall after we complete the proceeding.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Stanley, the range of punishment for a state jail felony prosecuted under section 1244A of the Texas Penal Code is confinement in the Van Zandt County Jail for a period not to exceed 1 year and a fine not to exceed $4,000. You understand that range of punishment? I find that the plea agreement fits within the legal range of punishment in this case. You understand that if the court approves this today, that you will become a convicted felon of a state jail felony. You understand that? Okay. Understanding that, Mr. Stanley, then how do you plead to the state jail felony offense of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 less than 1 gram under section 1244A? Say again. All right, Mr. Stanley, are you pleading guilty because in fact you are guilty of that offense? Has anyone threatened you, forced you, or pressured you to plead guilty? Court accepts the defendant's plea of guilt. Ms. Millentree, is there any objection to states 1?
No, Your Honor.
States 1's admitted into evidence and the court takes judicial notice of the defendant's judicial confession. Okay, just a moment. Anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor.
From the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, based on the court's review of the evidence, I do find that there is sufficient evidence to convict the defendant of this offense. The court will follow the plea agreement. Court assesses punishment under section 1244A at 97 days confinement in the Van Zandt County Jail. The court issues Mr. Stanley credit for those 97 days for time already served. Court orders him to pay restitution of $180, court costs of $980, $1,000 fine. If I didn't say it, a $290 court cost, $980 reimbursement fee. Court will order Mr. Stanley to make the payment across the hall of the amount stated by Ms. Melantree earlier. I believe you said 1,200 something.
$1,225.
Order Mr. Stanley to make that payment today towards his financial obligations, and then to meet with Ms. Bonnie LaPrade at the end of the hall to discuss setting up a payment plan to discharge the remainder. All right, Mr. Stanley, you're hereby remanded to the custody of the Van Zandt County Sheriff so we can carry out the terms and conditions of the sentence. I'm gonna have you come forward with the bailiff to be fingerprinted and then step across the hall. Will you make sure that they get a copy of that so they'll know to go ahead and take his line? Smelling tree, is that all you have today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. White, are you ready? Sir. Gabriel Romero, CR 20309. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Karen, let me give this to you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. See the very back page. Thank you. Mr. Romero, if you'll raise your right hand, sir, I'm going to place you under oath. Do you swear that the testimony you give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you may put your hand down. Mr. Romero, are you a United States citizen? Do you read, write, and speak English? Have you ever been diagnosed with any type of mental condition? Are you undergoing any type of treatment or on any medication for PTSD? Do you feel like your PTSD diagnosis any way today affects your rational understanding of the proceedings as they're going on? Okay. Mr. White, do you believe Mr. Romero to be competent today?
Your Honor, I believe Mr. Romero is not. First, with the last case, I believe he understands the procedures and opinion. He's also played for the story. I believe he also has a few voluntarily, he also knows the court. This is a preferred patient plea. I have explained
Thank you, Mr. White. Mr. Romero, are you pleased with Mr. White's representation of you? You feel like you've had enough time to talk with him about your case and have all your legal questions answered? All right, Mr. Romero, you're charged by indictment with the first-degree felony offense of aggravated robbery. That carries a range of punishment. If you were convicted of this offense and sentenced, would be a period not less than 5 years or more than 99 years or life confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Institutional Division, and a fine not to exceed $10,000. Do you understand that? Do you understand that full range of punishment? You understand that if I approve this agreement today to place you on community supervision, with it being deferred, your guilt being deferred as far as adjudication, that if you violate the terms and conditions of your probation and you're brought back before this court on a motion and the state proves that, the court could revoke your community supervision, could convict you, and could put you in prison anywhere between 5 years and 99 years of life. You understand that? Understanding all of that, Mr. Romero, then how do you plead to that charge? And Mr. Romero, are you pleading guilty because you are guilty of committing aggravated robbery and for no other reason? Has anyone threatened you, forced you, or pressured you to plead guilty? All right, court will accept Mr. Romero's plea of guilt at this time. Mr. White, any objection to states one?
No.
States one is admitted into evidence and the court takes judicial notice of the defendant's judicial confession. Anything further from the state? Any kind of victim compliance?
Your Honor, there is restitution in this law, state compliance, however, there is no tax statement.
Thank you, Ms. Heisel. Anything further from the defense?
No.
I'm just going to take just a moment and review the evidence, Mr. Romero. All right, based on the recommendation from the state and upon reviewing the evidence, the court finds that there is sufficient evidence to convict Mr. Romero of this offense. The court will follow the plea agreement in this case. Court defers the finding of guilt, places Mr. Romero on 8 years community supervision, assesses restitution of $3,000, orders him to pay court costs of $290 and reimbursement fees of $35. All right, Mr. Romero, you hereby remanded to the custody of the Van Zandt County Community Supervision and Corrections Department so they can carry out the terms and conditions of the sentence. Have you step forward to be fingerprinted with my bailiff. After that, I want you to see Ms. Burns here and she'll give you further directions. You ready on Mr. Downs?
I am, Your Honor.
Joel Hinton Downs, CR 2210. So that Mr. Downs is set for docket call today.
Your Honor, that's correct. On, I guess, Friday, I had gone over to the attorney's office. We're discussing this case, and Ms. Heiser made me aware of an additional witness that was, I don't think previously evident in the discovery. She since notified me that my portal, yesterday, they put up in my portal the name and address of that witness. I'm gonna ask the board for recess so I can look into that situation.
Any objection from the state?
No, Your Honor, just to clarify for both the court and Mr. White, this potential witness will be for punishment only, has any personal knowledge to the guilt of innocence phase, just so everybody's aware, but we did just give them the contact for that.
Do you think it'd be necessary for additional time for a punishment witness? Do you know about how long it would take you Thursday? No. Today is the 13th.
Like I said, Ms. Heisman explained to me what the situation is. Given the nature of the allegation that Mr. Dow is facing, like I said, this would be a situation where it could be.
All right, court will reset for docket call till May 11th at 9 a.m. You're free to go. Yes, thank you, Mr. White. Mr. Watson? It's Mr. Platten in court in Smith County? Okay, I see that he has filed a motion for continuance. Did you just retain Mr. Platten to represent you on this case? Did you just retain him this week?
Yes, sir. I talked to him about it.
Yesterday. Okay. All right. So the court's going to continue your case. I'm going to grant the motion for continuance. We're going to set you for a hearing on May 11th. All right, Mr. Watson, I'm gonna have you sign here on the X, and we're gonna give you a notice. We'll give you a copy of this notice. It says you're gonna come back on May 11th, okay? Yeah, I knew. Oh my goodness. Did you just, oh, all the way through?
This is legal space for upstate.
What does that mean? You got what? Yep, he needs to have conditions, I think. Nice. Mr. Schmidt, are you ready? Is it Mercer? Douglas Mercer, CR 2264. All right, court finds that we're set for docket call today.
That's correct. Talked to Mr. White this morning, seeking off, case. Not quite there yet. I'd like to have another doc call. I'm just need to go over some of the details of this case prior to that next doc call.
Any objection from the state?
No, Your Honor, and I would also note that the docket is wrong. This is the state jail, PCF, PG1, unless it's one grade or not. One is more. We use the original press on that. LGS / not that that has any bearing on this reset of.
Today being the third docket call, this will be the final docket call that we set for Mr. Mercer. Yeah, I was looking to see if we'd set you on that. Yes, we'll set Mr. Mercer then for his final docket call on May 25th. And Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Mercer is delinquent almost $1,000 on pretrial release. Okay. Okay. Mr. Ashmore, are you still there? Mr. White, do you have something on the docket today? Will you let Mr. Platt know he's hopped in, but I've already called his client and reset the case and granted his continuance. So will you just call him, tell him he doesn't have to log in? Yeah, it's already granted. I think I said that on May 11th. I think I did. Let me look back here. I wrote it on the order too in the file. Yeah, May 11th. So tell me, yeah, tell me to have to stick around. All right, thanks.
I'm back, Judge. I'm sorry about that.
All right. Any contact with Mr. or Miss Powell?
No, Judge, I've contacted her through Facebook Messenger, email, and phone. No reply.
Okay. All right. The court will have her name called. Rachel Powell here. Court will have her name called 3 times distinctly in the courthouse. So you're free to go.
All right, Judge. Sorry about the hiccup, and thanks for letting me appear by remote. And I'll see you Thursday, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Have a great day.
You too. Mr. Crane, you're gonna have to accept my apologies because when you get in the back, I lose sight of you. And so I usually look here in the periphery and I start picking attorneys and I get lost. And then I just now realize you're still sitting back there with Miss Olds. So Miss Olds, if you're ready.
Yes.
I do apologize. I understand. I do apologize. I lost track of you. All right, CR 2302, State versus Ashley Autumn Old, set for docket call today.
Yes, sir. I have not taken a look at it with prosecutors yet, however, I think that's possible. If this is the third docket call that you set from, we can do that. But for the 6 days, I think I've done something.
What's the offer right now?
No, I don't think I have. Judge, my offer shows 18 months in jail and $3,500.
So can you say that again? 18 months state jail?
18 months state jail and $3,500 fine. But it does not appear as though we've had contact Mr. Frank. I've been heard. Judge, I should this be our first talking call.
This is actually our second docket call. Yeah, she was arraigned in December and pretrial January, docket call last month and docket call this month. So what I'll do is I will set this for a final docket call. I'll give you 30 days. I'm not going to do 60 since we've already had 30. So are you available on May 25th? Okay, so we'll set Miss Olds then for docket call on May 25th at 9 a.m. And Mr. Crane, I'm gonna need you to fill out one of these and have your client sign it. And then before she leaves, I need her to meet with the pretrial release department for conditions of pretrial release. So once you sign that, just step on back here.
Sir, would you sign that date?
Yes, May 25th.
I would presume 9 a.m.
Yes, sir. Oh, Ms. Powell. Huh. Rachel Powell. Okay, just stay where you're at. Okay. Were you in the courtroom when I was talking with your attorney, Mr. Ashmore? Will you call Mr. Ashmore and let him know this client has arrived, Ms. Powell? Ask him to log back in. I'll show Courtney Smith for him. I'll show Laura Corey Burge, and a Candace Smith.
Candace.
Candace Smith. Is Candace Smith here? No, so tell him right now she's not here, so. All right, if you'll ask Mr. Ashmore to log back in. All right, Ms. Butler, I'm gonna have you sign here on the X, and then the bailiff's gonna give you a copy of that. We're gonna bring you back on May 11th, okay? She is in jail. We confirmed that. Yes, we'll see you back on May 11th, okay? All right, we're going to set Miss Christian Dickinson and CR 13-6. If she is in fact confirmed in Dallas County, we will set her on a status for her custody. I don't know that I've seen that for, and I've signed a bunch, but I don't recall her specifically. I've done a bunch for CPS, but I don't think I've done any for any criminal cases. We'll set her for status on June 3rd. Let me take that back. Not June 3rd. We'll set her for status on May 25th. Daniel Wiley. All right, this is cause number CR 1934, State versus Nathaniel Dean Wiley. Mr. Wiley, who did you hire? Can't hear a word you're saying. How many cases do you have, Mr. Wiley? 3? All right, Mr. Wiley, how long? Whenever? Thursday? Tomorrow? Well, tell me what your preferably is. 2 weeks? So if I give you 2 weeks, you're gonna have Mr. Schmidt or someone else hired. Guaranteed. How much do you have saved up right now? How much do you need? All right, Mr. Wiley, I'm gonna bring you back on Thursday, April 29th. Thanks, sir. All right, Mr. Wiley, we'll see you back on the 29th at 9 a.m. All right, Mr. Ashmore.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you for logging back in. Ms. Powell has arrived at the courtroom.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
Do you need to speak with her before any announcement on docket call or?
Yes,
If you can-
I'm just say, hey, Miss Powell, is she at the podium? Oh, I can see her.
Yes, can you see Mr. Ashmore? Can you look up on that screen up there? All right, go ahead, Mr. Ashmore.
Hey, thank you, Your Honor. Miss Powell, we have 2 phone numbers for you. We can't reach you on. We have an email for you that you have not replied to. And it seems like the only way we can sometimes communicate with you is through Facebook Messenger. Is there a number we can get that is a good number for you, ma'am?
Remember, we are streaming on YouTube, so let's don't repeat any phone numbers.
Well, I'll just, again, I apologize. Ms. Powell, do you have a pen?
We'll have to write it down and then I'll send that to you in the.
I was just going to give her that'd be appreciated. I was just going to give her the firm number, which is on the internet. Ms. Powell, I'd encourage you to call our firm at 972-325-5938 so we can talk further. Judge, we do not have any contested pretrial motions today. We have received a plea offer from the state, which is a minimum TDC institutional division, 2 years offer for this burglary. And it is a 4-year probated sentence with a $4,000 fine. Ms. Powell has been emailed that offer. I'm announcing it in open court. She has communicated that she has received it through her Facebook Messenger, so she is aware of it. And we're just asking the court for a reset to docket call so we can further negotiate with the state and visit about whether we're going to accept this offer or set this matter for trial.
Let me throw you a curveball. We're set for docket call today. I'll let you swing at it if you want to.
Yes, Judge, I did not realize that. I thought this was our pretrial, and so my request would be, let's not waste the court's time with putting it on the jury docket. I'd ask for an additional docket call, even if it's just a week or two out. So Ms. Powell and I can visit about this matter.
Any objection from state? All right, this is the deal we're gonna make. I'm gonna reset Ms. Powell to May 25th for docket call. That'd be at 9 a.m. But here's the deal. I'm gonna drug test her today. She passes the drug test, she goes home. She fails the drug test, she stays with me. It's not really a deal because you don't get to say yes or no, but it's gonna be my deal. So
I understand the court's position.
So I'm gonna have a notice of setting. So Ms. Powell, come over here and have a seat. I'm gonna bring you this notice of setting. So if you'll mark your calendar for May 25th at 9 a.m. Mr. Ashmore, then you'll be free.
Yes, Judge. Is that all you need from me, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. You'll be free to go.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for logging back on. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate the court's accommodation this morning. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. You have a great day.
You too.
We'll let Powell sign that. We'll probably pin down the rest if you need. Yeah, she's in.